You are watching a Siabonga Chonko production. If you have been here, welcome back. And if you are new, get ready to absorb and don't forget. Build yourself a business that not only serves others, but serves you.
Let's take this scenario. You're going to the till and then they tell you, sorry sir or sorry madam, you can only leave with 70% of the things that you took. In your head, you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? I just took transport to get here. I literally picked precisely what I want to go home with and what I want to buy. And I can only leave with some of it? This is exactly what was going on to your business in 2024. This was the type of robbery you were going through and you didn't even realize it. 73.9% was the cart abandonment rate in 2024. That's the amount of people your business could not recover. And we're not going to get too deep into the numbers just yet. Ideally, you want to get as many of those people back to your business. You want to recover as many of those sales. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. I'm Siabonga. I help e-commerce businesses grow by building and placing the systems that they need to scale their business. And today we're going to dive into the emo part of our system, right? The system that deals with cart abandonments. Now, the key thing to take away from here is that cart abandonments happen in every industry. They're going to happen in your business, but you can circumvent this. You can decrease the effect that it has in your business, but you can only do this with the right protocols. You need systems in your business that are going to be able to recover as many sales and systems that are going to prevent the whole scenario of having high cart abandonment. Cart abandonment stems from quite a few things. The first thing that it stems from is the lack of confidence a customer may have inside your brand. Now, when I talk about a lack of confidence, you need to understand that I'm not just talking about one thing. It just means that your business is not necessarily showing green flags to your potential customers. This just means that there's a few things that you need to solve in your business. A customer is seeing you and they're not fully secure in what your business is about. You need systems to solve these problems. Now, once that's sorted out, your cart abandonment process is just going to be slightly less advanced. The second reason why you may experience high cart abandonment rates is due to friction that the customer may experience during the whole purchasing process. And the last reason is purely because the customer does not see you as the best option in their mind. So let's put pen and paper together and let me give you live examples that are taking place in your business right now when the customer is going through all of this. So let's pick a scenario to attack first. Let's pick friction in the checkout process. Now, the customer's committed, they want to buy from you, they've already added things to their cart, but in order for them to finish the purchase, they need to create an account, they need to fill in this form with unnecessary information, they need to verify their email and all of this stuff, and they just don't have the patience for this. They decide to just abandon cart. Now, if the customer really has the patience for this, they're going to carry on, fill in all those different forms, verify their emails, and do this whole process, but they'd also want to purchase with their preferred payment method. This could be Apple Pay or PayPal or these other payment options that they might need. Now, they might go to your store and see that you don't have these specific options. They may see this as a red flag and they won't check out. Alright, so let's go to the second scenario. The second scenario being the one of lack of confidence in your brand. So a first time visitor comes to you, they really like what you're doing, they like their product, and they go to the checkout process. Now when they go there, they see that there's no secure payment badge on your website. There's no SSL certificate. Now they have some fear instilled in them. They're afraid that some of their credit card information is not going to be safe. Because they've seen this, they've decided to abandon carts. And the last scenario is that a customer may view your product, leave your website and go to a different store that may be selling the exact same product and see their product as a better one than yours and decide to leave you in the dust. Every customer has an LTV and an AOV. Now, once you start losing customers, you lose these two things as well. Alright, since you guys understand the bigger picture, you understand what's promoting this high cart abandonment, let's actually dive into the math itself and see how much money you're actually losing due to having bad systems in your business. But before we get into that, let's go to the flow diagram so we can get a better idea once again. You guys know me when it comes to these explainer videos. I really love using these visual clues so you can get the idea in your brain. Okay, so you know what time it is? It's time to share the screen. Time to break down the funnel. So let's have a look at this thing that I've created for you guys. So we have eyeballs, websites, view products, checkouts, and official boards. These are the different things that your customer is going to go through when they go through the sales funnel of your business, right? Your eyeballs is the biggest thing that you have there. then it becomes website, then view products, and it slowly gets smaller as you go down the funnel. So I did this on purpose because you guys know the visual clue that the smaller the funnel gets, the less people actually make it through the funnel. So you got your eyeballs. Your eyeballs go to your website, but not everyone who goes onto the website is going to stay there forever. Some people may have clicked your link by mistake, or people have lost interest as soon as they landed there and they bounce off your website. Now, those specific people are going to go to the bounced bubble that I've made, the small purple one over there. Now, your bounce rate tends to be quite high, especially for e-commerce businesses. Now, if the customer is still interested, they're going to go and view your product. Now, like I said, it's the same thing when it comes to website. Not everyone who views your product is going to want to carry on and purchase it completely. Maybe they may have problems with the pricing. Maybe they may not agree with it as much. So they may leave view your product and decide to leave the store completely. Now, those specific people are going to end up on the viewed and left bubble. And then the last thing that we have is the people who are going to the checkout section. Now, when you get to the checkout section, some people will just have anxiety and decide to just completely drop the sale. Now, majority of the people who go to the checkout section tend to go through that process. And a lot of them are going to go to the abandoned carts and checkout bubble. Now, if you have a look at the substitute bubbles, or in other words, the bubbles that are on the side where people have left, abandoned carts and checkout is the biggest bubble that you have when it comes to those side bubbles. That's because a majority of your traffic normally goes through this process. In e-commerce, it's the biggest metric that takes away a lot of your e-commerce customers. Now from there, we're going to jump to the actual math calculations and see how much you're potentially losing because of cart abandonment. So we're going to create one scenario so everybody's on the same page and everyone's going to think the same way when it comes to these numbers. You're a 7-figure e-commerce business. You're basically a business doing $1 million a year or 83K a month. In a realistic sense, you're not going to be making 83K on a monthly basis consistently. That like every month is going to be 83,000. You're going to have ups and downs. So we're going to do it in a realistic way so we can see the numbers properly. So the sub niche we're going to look at, for example, is going to be skincare. So we can all have a specific reference and we can actually look at proper numbers. All right. So let's dive into the maths. As a 7-figure e-commerce business, you should be bringing in around 50,000 to 70,000 on average eyeballs to your store. Now, this can be higher or lower, but we're going to go with the lower end so we can accommodate for all the different results. So let's take 50,000 monthly visitors. Right. So the first thing that you went through when we were looking at that funnel is the bounce rate. Now, the bounce rate is roughly at around 50%. So let's look at the maths here. 50,000 website visitors times 50% gives you 25,000 people remaining on your website. Now, not all of those 25,000 people are going to buy your stuff. So only some of them are going to make it to the checkout after adding to your cart, right? So that rate is normally around 22% for skincare brands. Now, what really needs to be aimed for is 25% above, because if you do that, you're going to have a much more higher conversion rate, you're going to get more sales, etc. But high cart abandonments is just something that's overtaking us and we need to overcome it. Let's look at the math again. 25,000 people times 22%, which is around 5,500 people at checkout. Now, people who are at checkout are 75% committed to buying from your business. They're not quite yet over the line, so this is where your cart abandonment is going to come in. Now, your cart abandonment is sitting at around 70%, and I want us to look at both sides so we can actually see how impactful it is to your business. 70% of people abandoned, meaning 30% actually finished the purchase. So if we take 30% times by the people who are actually left, which is 5,500, we are left with 1,650 people. Now, to actually get the actual price or the amount of money that you're getting in per monthly, you're going to have to times that by your AOV. Now, when it comes to skincare brands, we're looking at around $50 to $65 for an AOV. But like I said, we want to accommodate everyone, so we're going to go for $50. Now, if you times 1,650, 1,650 times $50, you're looking at around 82,500 per month on average. Now, it can be higher than this or lower than this because in e-commerce, not every month is going to be the same, but this is going to be the benchmark that we're going to look at across the whole year. Now, the really important stuff, let's see how much you're potentially losing because of high cart abandonment rates, right? So 70% of the people who are left over, which was 5,500, is the people who are actually leaving your store. So 70% times 5,500 gives you 3,850 lost customers. Take that number and times it by your AOV, and you're going to get the amount of money that you're potentially losing all the time. So let's look at it here. $3,850 times the $50, which is your AOV, is giving you $192,500. That is the amount of money that you are potentially losing because of high cart abandonment. These are the potential sales that you could be getting, but you didn't know this because you didn't take care of your high cart abandonments. Let's talk prevention, because it's much easier to prevent something than to cure it once it's on you. Now, if you don't have these specific prevention methods in your business now, I recommend that you start here. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to reduce the number of steps and the unnecessary form fields in order to make the purchase much easier and much quicker for the customer. Be transparent and clear with all the costs that you have. This includes your taxes and your shipping. The customer needs to see the upfront payments that they need to make right now. Because if they see later costs in the checkout process, they will just see this as a red flag and decide to abandon cart immediately. So, pro tip, show intent from the start and they won't get surprised at checkout. Another thing that you need to do is to allow customers to be able to finish their purchase without actually needing to create an account. Have reviews, have SSL certificates, have return policies. These are green flags to your customer. Now, if you have all these things already in place and you're still suffering from high cart abandonment rates, this is the cure for you. You need to inject a cart abandonment flow in order to save your business. Now, if you want a complete breakdown of the flow that's going to solve your cart abandonment rates, I've decided to build an ebook for you guys to take home and so you can implement it yourself. But if you want someone to implement this for you with the advanced features to the funnel, then what you're looking for is the first link in the description. So what you can take away from this video is that this is not the year for you to surrender to major high cart abandonments. The prevention is there, the cure is there, everything that you need I'm giving to you in this video. You just need to grab the opportunity with both hands, and that way you'll be able to build yourself a business that not only serves others but serves you.